Joe, you got the bonus point, job done in that sense. What pleased you about the performance and what maybe worried you about the performance?
I think there were more things that pleased me, definitely. We started really well again. We got those 2 early tries, as we did last time. And then we made a bit of hard work of it. I think one of the plans we had for this evening was to try to get a few scores early if we could, because speaking to the guys who played here the last 2 times, the longer the game goes, the more moisture there is in the air, on the ground and on the ball and on the player themselves. So we knew it was going to get more and more difficult as time went on. And that was probably a little bit of consternation in that third quarter where we didn't get the bonus point try, but thankfully it was great to see Andrew Conway streak away and get that try, and then probably to finish with the best try of the night at the end. I think just to get that 35-point differential, to keep a clean sheet is always great, because the Russians have certainly got a bit to offer. They gave up nothing defensively. I felt we made some really good line breaks, but in behind the line breaks, they fought really hard and made it very difficult to get anything on the back of those. Albeit that we scored a couple of nice tries. I thought Johnny saw the space really well for the second try that Peter O'Mahony scored. Obviously, the set play to start the game was great. Rob Kearney went through and carried all the way to score it, but there were probably 3 or 4 support players who could have helped them out there. So it was nice to get that front foot early, and nice to get the bonus point.
Just went for the turns. Thanks. Joe, just firstly, can I get an update on Joey, Geordie, Rob and Johnny, please?
Yeah, well, I'll do the first 3 anyway. Joey is good. Again, I think he would have been okay to play, but Conor Murray was very keen to play. And at one stage, he was going to go in at lock. He's quite tall, Conor. When Tyg Byrne came off with cramp toward the end, he was pretty keen, because if he got onto the pitch, he didn't have to do extras that he's doing on the Watt bike right now. So Joey is hopefully fine. Geordie, he's just got squeezed in the ribs. He may have popped a rib there, so we're going to get him checked out. It was pretty uncomfortable. And that was disappointing, because our plan was only to play him for 40 minutes and keep CJ fresh for 40 minutes as well. So we'll see what that comes back like. Johnny?
Good. All good.
He's all good. And who was our one?
Correct.
Rob. Yeah, I think Rob's okay. Again, we're going to give him 50 or 60, and so making the change when we did, I think he just he felt a little bit tight in the groin, and we just felt it was about time to take him off anyway.
Just to follow up, you said you're... Oh, sorry. Are you getting easy? You said your biggest disappointment on Saturday was to lose your way after being, not to paraphrase, to lose your way after 20 minutes and not score again. Did you lose your way a little bit again today in the middle of the game, albeit find your way towards the end?
Yeah, I don't think we lost our way. We just didn't convert some chances. And when you look back, there were some really good chances, both in the first and second half. I felt our maul got going really well, and then we didn't get anything on the back of it a few times. Rhys finished his try when he muscled up with a bit of help from John Ryan. And then in that third quarter, there was a little bit of frustration on the back of CJ Stander's line break, where we got very close to scoring. It was frustrating that we lost the ball in the tackle. At the same time, I'm pretty realistic about how tough conditions we were out there, having spoken to the players afterwards. And I felt that we controlled a good amount of the game, albeit not necessarily scoring and behind that. And I think watching the games that have been played here previously, then, I think England maybe got 5 tries against Tonga and were made to work pretty hard to get the bonus point as well. So I don't think that it's something that will cause too much frustration. I think as I said, in this tournament, you get what you need from each game as much as you possibly can. We've got 11 points in the pool. We still keep control of whatever outcome we get at the end of the pool, and we've got to just aim up at Samoa now and make sure that we put in a performance. If we get a win there, we know we're in the mix. If we can get a win and anything else, then we know we're qualified. We just have to wait for that final pool game, potentially Japan, Scotland, to find out where we fall in the pool.
Just waiting for translation. So.
Sure. One for Johnny and maybe for Joe as well. In terms of finding the kind of form that might beat South Africa or New Zealand, how far away do you think you are right now?
Look, it's very hard to say after a game like that. Like after Scotland, we felt we were in a brilliant place. After Japan, we were pretty low. Today we did a job, and we're very pleased to get the job done. And like Joe said, keep the pool in our hands, so to speak, in terms of our qualification for the quarterfinal. So we've got a big game now in 9 days against Samoa, and everything's really geared up towards that. We'll worry about what happens after that if we can get the job done next week.
Yeah, I concur with that. I do think that you've got to take it one game at a time, particularly after having lost last week. So we will set our sights on Samoa, because we need a win there to have a chance of qualifying. And as I said, if we can get a win and a little bit more, we know we qualify and we control that ourselves. And in the end, when you get to a quarterfinal, everything hinges on the quarterfinal itself. It becomes very much a one-off game. And one thing I learned from last time at the World Cup is that you can be on an upswing going into World Cup, but if you've got injuries or you've got a little bit of a confidence hit because you've got a number of new guys in. We made 11 changes today, and we got the performance that we needed. And people will maybe have expected more of the performance, but when you look at the stats, I am really happy with the performance and the outcome that we got. Yes, there were a number of errors, but we created a number of pressure points that we're pretty happy with.
Down here and then at the back afterwards. Yeah,
Could I just get both of your take on Rob Kearney's try? Joe, obviously it's a move that you've used a lot in the past. How do you select that move, and are you ever sort of worried that it might not come off because you have used it quite a few times, or versions of it? Yeah,
to be honest, I was surprised Johnny called it so early in the game. It was kind of the first play, because you often want guys to be a little bit fatigued mentally so that they don't see it coming, because we do know that teams anticipate we may use that play, but a lot of it is down to the execution of it, and just the timing was spot on, and we haven't used it for a while, so maybe you bring it out of the locker every so often. So that was my take on it anyway.
Look, they're actually really well organised defensively. I know from playing against the coaches that they have over the years, they make life very difficult for you, and they like to spread across the pitch and get 14 guys in the front line. So we kind of thought that there would be a bit of space in back through the rucks at times, and we nearly got it a few other times in phase play. I just had a feeling with it that I don't know. It worked for us first play. I remember over in Claremont a few years ago in the semi-final, and Rob runs it really well. Geordie, picked up the detail during the week really well, and just had a good feeling it was going to work. And why wait to try and score when you can go 7-0 up?
Good feeling. Well spotted.
We've got time for a few more questions at the back, because the next one just... Thank you.
Joe, it's obviously been tough conditions over the last 160 minutes of rugby, so that obviously legislates for a few of the errors. But are you seeing anything else in terms of outside of the conditions that has had a common thread over the two games in terms of being able to arrest some of the errors that come in, especially like in those moments in the third quarter today?
Yeah, it's been a tough 180 minutes, and probably a couple of extra minutes that we didn't want against Japan when they came very close to getting a little bit more of a margin that would have been costly for us. So I do think that humidity is something that we're not used to playing with. One of the things about the humidity in the first game was it was in drops of rain, and we're reasonably well equipped to cope with that because we've played with those conditions a number of times. So in a potentially dry stadium with a roof, to have the humidity as it was and the moisture content like it was, it is a little bit foreign to us. So I think game to game we will continue to adjust. We have also... At least you didn't drop the ball today, Johnny. The conditions I think we are adjusting to. I have heard that it does start to cool off in October, so it's October. So I'm hopeful that the conditions will start to change a little bit, and we won't have to adjust as much to them. So we'll sort of find out in 9 days' time. I know I've spent a fair bit of time in my younger days in Samoa, and they get very high humidity there, so they may well be a little bit better adjusted than we are in 9 days' time, unless we get a little bit of a drop in the temperature.
Last question here in the front. Thank you.
Hi, Joe. You seem in quite a relaxed mood at the moment. You're talking about taking it one game at a time. With that in mind, would a couple of those days be more useful after the Samoa game than beforehand? Because it's quite a big break now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Probably a little bit more of a break, but one of the problems is you can't move to wherever you're looking to go until the end of the pools stages, until they've completed all the games in the pools. So you would still be stuck somewhere anyway. And I think to get a bit of a normal match week would be ideal for us. So I think if we finish on Saturday and we can get qualified for a quarterfinal, it's either going to be a 7 or an 8 day turnaround, and that's something that we're used to and comfortable with. I think we have been stung a little bit in recent times with a couple of 6 day turnarounds that we haven't probably made the best job of. I think our preparation and, as I said before the game, I think our start against Japan was super. We had a strategy. It worked to get a couple of tries, and even immediately after scoring the second try, we made a big line break down the right-hand touch. So, it was frustrating the way that we kind of went into our shell in that game, and that's one of the things that I was happy enough. I know we didn't score in that third quarter, but I still felt we chanced our arm a little bit, and and chancing our arm with a kick from the deep that we recouped through Keith Earls, and he linked up with a nice offload in the contact to Andrew Conway, who got away, and then again we ran from the deep with Jordan Lama doing what he does well, and linking with Keith again, and Gary picking up the inside pass. So I am happy with those aspects, and I guess you get what you get, and the one thing that you get fairly fatalistic about is what we have got is we've got either a 7 or an 8 day turnaround if we can qualify, and getting down to Fukuoka tomorrow will be a positive for us. I think we'll give the lads a weekend off, and then we'll get into our normal work week and see what we can do next Saturday.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Johnny. That brings an end to the Ireland press conference. We'll be opening the mix zone in about a minute or two. Thank you very much.